Just
Welcome to the acclaimed podcast, The Deep Dive, featuring your esteemed hosts, Andy Monitor and Drew Dinzik, powered by BetSperts.
Welcome to The Deep Dive. Big week, Andy. Business end of the French Open is upon us. NBA Finals are upon us. I think we don't even really need to set up a show. There's plenty to talk about. How you doing?
Yeah, I had this argument with myself and then rehashed it with Noops this morning on Brown Bag. I was like 95% certain the NBA Finals were tonight. Like it just like I didn't check a calendar. I didn't have a date. It just in my brain, like my rhythms just felt like, all right, it's been enough time. Like we've had enough days since, the games that were last played in the conference finals. Like it should be tonight, but we do have a hockey game tonight. I'll watch that for sure. It should be a little different than
super high profile soccer matches recently too. There was a finalissima today.
Yeah, we have
see that?
There's a USA
hardware.
playing in a
hardware
friendly.
Went to Argentina. We had Ukraine take care of business.
Surprising how
they
well
did their job. Yeah.
And then the women's semifinals are set up, and now we're done. We're right. Was the Rude match the final quarter?
That was the last of them. We now know our four finalists. Our quarter markets have been graded, settled. Some surprises in there, to say the least.
I know. You know what? I said I'd do this too, and I didn't because I'm a dumb fuck. But Noops is so bent on beating Iga somewhere, and I will just say her name however I want.
No idea who the fuck you're talking about.
Iga. And he makes good, but he finds good bets. It just, I don't know if anyone can beat her in her current form. She's just gone so end-boss. Nobody left. Like Zeglin's really good for a bet.
Goff's going to give her.
Well, that's the thing. So I said that. I said, all right, nobody's going to beat her. I said, I'm going to take all of Alex's outrights that he placed, and I'm going to bet their quarter prices. And Corey was probably like 7-8 to 1.
Yeah.
So I feel dumb that I didn't but he does. Alex has a 35 to 1 on Coco. I really do believe she wins and ends up in the final. So, go look at the odds if you want to ride along with that theory. But that'll of what was left. Let's just say into the quarterfinals of what was left. I think the Goff is an opponent is probably best case scenario for seeing a half decent final.
Oh, 100%.
Okay, there were some situations where Goff is still young. She bottles one against somebody she shouldn't.
Yeah,
and we end up with a 10 to 1 underdog in the final or something horrible. 8 to 1.
Yeah.
You
want to talk tennis first?
Yeah, let's just start tennis.
Okay, we've done a decent service to the NBA over the balance of this NFL season.
We won't.
We haven't talked.
We'll talk some NBA yet today.
I don't mind talking tennis either because I've been watching a shitload of tennis.
My favorite slam for sure.
Actually, I've been also listening to a lot of tennis because the broadcast leaves something to be desired. The radio Roland Garros, I have to give them a specific shout out. They have been just phenomenal play-by-play, and it is got to be the toughest sport to do play-by-play calling because it's tough.
It's tennis. Yeah,
tennis. The teams are incredible. And Gigi Salmon had the Rafa Joker match yesterday. She was unbelievable. Mm-hmm. Great commentary, and just in general, Radio Roland Garros has been been a delight this entire tournament. But before going there, let's recap the quarterfinals a little bit.
Yeah, real quick. Somebody did ask a question. Do we have the quarter price on the men's semifinalists? So like Nadal was about plus 150, and then Zverev and Zverev and Ruud were about 3-1 or better.
Yeah, 3-1
and then
on both.
Chilich was like 15.
I saw some 20 was the best price I saw for him in the quarter. So I think
like
the legal shops were hanging 16-ish.
Obviously Nadal was not the favorite, even though it was only plus 150 or so.
No, upsets in all four quarters.
Yeah,
upsets in all four. None of
those were the favorites.
None of the chalk prevailed. But the chalk did make it to the quarterfinals, which gave us some absolutely epic quarterfinals, at least on the top. And we'll start with the match of the day yesterday, which was Djokovic Nadal. Why are you making the
end? I missed
you
the
did?
End of it. Well, I had scheduled
stuff going on. Yeah,
I scheduled an IMAX viewing with the wife of the new Top Gun, and I didn't realize they were going to start that match at like fucking midnight local for some reason. So I missed the fourth set. I had no doubt. No, I came out of the movies and the LIV golf thing had come out and Nadal had finally won, and a bunch of shit had happened. Like 2 hours is an eternity nowadays.
It is. Were you fired up out of a cannon though, coming out of that movie?
Oh yeah, it was so good.
Oh, okay, good. I'll get some more. I got some more review questions for you at the end. Then I'll probably go see it this weekend. Let's talk about the Nadal Djokovic match for a second. And this is coming from a perspective of someone who had a healthy position on Djokovic to win the entire slam, and that position was based on watching Rafa Nadal limp through a set as pathetic as he ever has looked at the end of his run in Rome to Denis Shapovalov. And then the quotes and the body language and everything was speaking. He might not even play Roland Garros was kind of my thought at that time. And Djokovic was peaking. He was crushing. He's got the experience. And it's like, oh, man, this is a two-man race between Joker and Alcaraz. Joker's more experienced. Let's just fire away here. Well, Nadal came into this tournament. He played his way into a little bit of form, and then he was really pushed hard by Felix Auger-Aliassime. And that ended up being a 5-hour marathon, 4.5-hour marathon, 5-setter. Nadal prevails, and it's like we hadn't seen anywhere close, not even maybe 60-75% of what we had seen in that first set from him was the that was like the leap he made from any other clay tennis he's played all season to the way he came out in that match against Djokovic. He was painting corners. He was, painting lines. He was nailing corners. It was masterful in that first set, the degree to the level he was playing. And that was somewhat expected because I figured at least he had to come out firing if he was going to have any chance to win that set. He was going to have to take care of it quickly because I thought the longer the match went, the more tilted in the balance of Djokovic.
For sure. No, I didn't have any money on either man in that one. And all I could, that second set, I was just getting, even though it wasn't up 2-0, I was getting shades of the Tsitsipas final. It's like, man, you can't let this guy creep back in. Like, if you want to get this done, because I was as surprised as you. Same kind of vibe. We had that Rome match where we said I was in the same thought process as you, and that's why I tweeted that. Just a little joke about Father Time and Rafa yesterday, and somebody pointed out, hey, they're the same age. It's like, yeah, they are, but like coming into this tournament, it felt like Rafa was a broken down man based on what we saw in Rome. And like you said, Joker was, he's gone vegan and his
peak of his powers. Yeah.
No vaccines. Maybe that's what fixed him. Maybe the anti-vaxxers are going to run with this one because he's looking very good for his age. And then Rafa just decides to, hey, guess what? I'm 29 again, and I'm just gonna.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Like the court coverage.
Yeah.
He's so old to be doing that shit.
Some of his gets were just out of this world good. And now again, even sitting there watching the first set and watching him dominate, I was like, okay, expected this. Let's see how long he can keep it up. That was kind of my take. Let's see if let's do it again.
Yeah, come out and punch him in the mouth, but can he keep it up?
And he came out in the second set and he punched him in the mouth again. And that was kind of the critical moment of the match because last year's French Open semifinal match was almost the same blueprint. Rafa came out hot, was dominant early, hit Djokovic first in the second set, and then Djokovic slowly worked his way back in and then basically outlasted him with endurance. And I figured the same thing was going to happen again. But
That's my
Djokovic
question to you
gave up
about
a second. Yeah, he gave up a second break. He got broken a second time in that second set. And at that point, you saw Djokovic really, really have to basically go from, okay, I thought I was going to be able to get away with playing 75, 80% and just, kind of outlast him. Now I got to go 100. I got a red line here to get back into the set if I am going to have any chance to salvage this match. And I think he redlined for too long. And it was too hard for him to get those breaks back. And so he basically, he exhausted himself. And you could tell watching it live. Like he was he's screaming. He was emotive. Like it was not comfortable or easy for him to get back into that set. And after the second set was over, he gets a little bit of a break and like all the adrenaline wears off and he just could never recover it. Like he spent too much of his reserve there. And Nadal got him in the second. And then Djokovic made a pathetic attempt in the fourth to rally. Nadal eventually, I thought he broke back pretty easily as Djokovic was trying to serve for the match in the fourth. And then the tiebreak never really felt competitive. So congratulations, Rafa Nadal. He's a champion. I don't really, we shouldn't be surprised. This has happened many, many times before, and it will presumably continue to happen. But sucks that Djokovic went down without more of a fight, I guess.
And that was my question was, you already answered it. So did he just blow his wad in that second set?
He shot his wad.
It really felt that way. It's like, man, he had to, and that's where just like, I think he's done. And somebody even said that in our tennis chat, once it got to, I believe it was 3-1 there. And so what was it? Rafa broke. So Rafa,
he was 3-0. He was 3-0. He had broken twice.
He was 3-0. He'd broken twice, and then we saw it go the other way.
Yeah,
and at some point, somebody said do you pack this in and just get him in the next set? Like, man, do either of these guys ever do that? Like, it just
Nadal does sometimes. He's definitely
he has been
like, this is going to take 5. I'm just going to go for 1, 3, and 5. like certainly seen him do that.
A little more prevalent in best of 5, but man, it's just so hard because I was looking at like the live market for the total in that set. I'm like, I just can't trust either of these guys against each other. Like, just be like, I'm taking this set off. and sure enough, it went up. It was 6-4 second set. So but yeah, great solid match. And honestly, it still wasn't the best match of the day.
No.
Seeing Zverev do like what, and again, it's Sasha. Like we made, and it felt like it was maybe a little anecdotal how much we teased him about best of 5, but he'd never beaten a top 10 opponent in a slam, which is wild that it took him till he was like already moved up a generation and he beat some fucking high school kid to do it. It's wild how long that took. But again, another semifinal, and out of anybody, like I was very, very impressed with Rafa. But then at the end of the day, it's like, you know what, if he's healthy and motivated, this isn't surprising that he can play at this level. I was way more impressed, I guess, just with where my expectations start with the way that Zverev played against somebody who should have beat him. And again, it's tough ask for a kid that age. Even he's played some big matches already, and he's done some things. But this is best of 5, second week deep into the tournament of a slam, and that's still a big moment.
I think it's fair to say Rafa won that match. He won it.
Yes,
he played. He brought a level
he wasn't going to
see
lose.
Coming. I didn't. He brought a level I didn't see coming. He brought a level Djokovic didn't see coming. He brought a level that Djokovic needed to expend too much of his energy in order to counter, and that was the match. The first match, Zverev's winning sets 1 and 2. It didn't really feel like. I mean, he was playing. His serve was on point. Like it was firing. He was dialed in service wise.
Yeah.
But the story of sets 1 and 2 was Alcaraz just playing very
for sure,
very sloppy tennis, and I was surprised personally, I was like, did not see him playing that sloppy at all. Like that was a surprise. But I didn't kind of give up hope that he was going to be able to come back and win 3-2 just because of what we've seen from him throughout.
I just
was like, oh yeah, it's just
assumed. Well, and and also it's
excuse me,
it's Zverev. Like, if there was a guy who's going to bottle it from, I mean, he was serving for the match at one point.
Yeah, my biggest position on the match was the over 36.5 games, I believe, and I made it about a 40 game match, and I was sweating that third set. I was like, man, is Alcaraz ever going to break through? Like Zverev's serve is just too good. Like, Alcaraz reined in the unforced errors, which was good. He finally broke through right in the nick of time, wins 6-4. It was a hugely emotional moment. And then the fourth set of that match was the best set of tennis we've seen the entire tournament so far. It was extremely, extremely well played. Both players more winners than unforced errors. Both players were, I thought extremely strategically sound, tactically sound, and played clean tennis. And Zverev got the first break, and he had the opportunity to serve it out and bottled it. As predictable as you could ever, as predictable a bottling as you ever have seen in life.
I mean, what was it? Triple break point, right away.
0-40, down 0-40. Yeah. Just bang right away. Gave it back. They go to a tie break. And that tie break, the fourth set tie break of that match was the best tie break I can remember seeing. There's probably other ones I'm forgetting in recent time. Yeah. But that one was high. That was high leverage. It was really well played, and Zverev made some unbelievable shots. And Alcaraz was playing his best tennis. He was not making mistakes. I think there was only maybe one point where I thought, he let that one go. He should, if he had gotten that one, he probably wins this tiebreak. He didn't. He had set point and he missed it. Zverev comes back, wins the match, and I guess I don't think any of it was Alcaraz looking ahead. Sometimes younger players, when you're like, hey, look, I'm going to the semis. I beat the shit out of this guy in the Madrid finals. Yep. He doesn't gab me, and I'm going to the semis. I wonder who I'm going to play, Djokovic or Nadal, right? Like I didn't get the sense that was any contributing factor. I got the sense that Zverev just came to play that day, played a very, very clean match. And, he didn't bottle it in the tiebreak, which can happen. So I think if either of those matches goes to a fifth set, I think you probably see the other outcome. I think it's probably a Djokovic Alcaraz semifinal if both of those go to 5. But both players raised their level when they needed it, got the fourth set tiebreaks, and that's it. Game set match. Zverev Nadal.
Yeah.
You got an opinion?
Unless there's some wild letdown, I mean, what's the most number of sets that Zverev can win here?
He can win this match. He can win this match. I don't think you can dismiss it.
I haven't seen him. I don't know. Even this tournament, it's not like, oh man, he's just been serving like nuts for 2 weeks here. It just really ramped it up. I'm more worried about him. Just, oh shit, that was a one-off where he played really well against a young player that I can't imagine the head-to-head looks very good on clay. It's still it's
maybe like 1-3, 1-2.
Yeah, I don't remember them. That's what I'm saying. I don't remember them playing much.
Okay. You remember their first head-to-head though. That was the genesis of the tennis chat. Indian Wells, Zverev and Nadal going head-to-head.
Yeah, I'm just thinking on clay.
Zverev breaks out for the first time. No one ever heard of this guy other than he had one junior win.
Well, I think we'd heard of his brother at that point.
Oh yeah, Misha Zverev.
Like we knew Misha, but Misha was older but worse.
Yeah, Zverev breaks onto the scene. He's like, oh God, this kid is good as shit. He's the next gen. This is going to be a great match. He took Nadal toe-to-toe at that Indian Wells match. Probably should have won. Absolutely framed a volley that would have been match point or would have given him match point. I can't exactly remember. I think it was match point though. And he loses this third set tiebreak, I want to say. Really, really, really good match. And it was kind of like Zverev's coming out party. Like I can go toe to toe with this guy on with no real reps at the ATP level. Like this is how good I am. He played him, back that up with a really competitive run at the Australian Open the next year. Took him to 5 steps.
But it just the way he's played so far in this tournament, it just still feels like the Alcaraz match was impressive, but it hasn't been like something he's been building to, and he's been just really, striping a serve the whole time.
So sign collectibles. Zverev struggled this tournament, down match point versus Baez, 2 tie breaks versus Nakashima, struggled early with versus Zapata Morales. Yeah. All of that is true, but I will also tell you that a younger Zverev would have capitulated in all 3 of those.
He would have lost all 3 of those. And that's what I'm saying. So like you take,
yes.
So you got older Zverev who would have lost those. You got this Zverev who did lose those.
Yeah.
And then we still have it. Like this is different. This is still Rafa here. I think the total is going to be a little low. I think Zverev takes a set off him, but it's probably 3-1 Rafa, and then
Chilich, I agree with that take.
Chilich Ruud is.
Let me just add one other play to that. Price. Let me add one other play to that. When is the one? It's the first set.
It does feel like he has to come out hard.
Zverev has to come out hard, and Nadal can let this match come to him. Nadal can let this match, kind of come into fruition, as opposed to going out there and firing all of his bullets out of the gate. I think if Nadal, because Nadal
being down a set to him doesn't scare him.
No, it doesn't scare him. But the opposite is scary, where if he goes out there and goes hard and exhausts himself and puts himself in any kind of a perilous state physically early in this match, then he's vulnerable. He is much more likely to ease into this match, which is a more classic way that Rafa tends to take on some of these younger players, in my experience.
3-1s plus 260, plus 270.
Yeah, I like first set money lines, Zverev. That's my favorite look in the match.
Yeah, you get plus 170 there. Maybe a little better if you hunt around.
Great. That's a good plus 183 a penny.
There you go. Yeah, I'm hopefully we have a good match. I want it to be a good match. I'm worried that it won't be. I'm honestly, just because I'm worried, and I think it won't be. I think it'll be a less than competitive 3-1 match.
Okay.
I'm actually more excited for Ruud Chilich.
Okay.
And it is. They haven't done order of play. I'm assuming that'll be the first match, though.
It ought to be.
It feels like they're gonna play that one early, and the late match, the primetime Monday Night Football will be obviously Mr. Nadal showing it up on. I'll let you say the name of the
Philippe Chatrier.
Yeah, you're just much better at the French. Philippe Chatrier. I sound like sound like a Disney character from like fucking Aristocrats. Aristocrats is a whole different movie.
Movie.
Yeah, Ruud Chilich. Ruud, I thought, and as well as Chilich has played and how far Chilich has made, doesn't it feel like this could turn into a trucking?
You think?
Or do you believe in Chilich on clay? Like,
it's tough to divorce my prior for Chilich on clay from what I've seen this tournament. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. That's right.
Nothing about Chilich. Well. Nothing about Chilich getting to this point was fluky. He did have somewhat of an easy quarter.
Yeah.
But he
still won.
Not only did he win, but he played some really, really good tennis. I thought, actually, shit, man, dude, his performance in the 5th set tiebreak today against Rublev was eye-popping. Like, that was a player I did not know existed.
Rublev? He's been around.
No, Chilich is quality.
I know. The way you phrased it sounded funny, though. Yeah, it was an easier quarter, but you still, I mean, look what you could argue that Sasha had an easy quarter. He let some of those matches kind of get away from him. Chilich just looked good against easier competition. Yeah, the Rublev match was a war, but he got through it. That would be the main thing. Would be, I want to go look at court time too. I
Okay.
feel like Rude maybe has played a little less.
A little bit.
It's probably it's probably tighter than I think, but
No.
I don't know. I'm not gonna lay the. I'm not seeing it at a ton of places yet. I know that, but it's looking minus 200-ish right now for Rublev. That you know what, Rude, that's probably fair. Minus 200 is probably fair. So honestly, I'll probably sit that one out.
The Czechs opened up Cilic at plus 120. Okay. Marathon, which is effectively the Russians, opened it up plus 150. It's been bet up to plus 180. Bets on, what do they have? I don't see them yet. 1x bet plus 120 up to plus 160. So Rude people were really willing to run to the window and lay the price with Rude. So it's been a one-way market so far in favor of Rude, and I get that. Rude, he's a clay player. Like this, that's in his genes. It's in his genes. And his best results on tour have all been on clay. He's won a shit ton of titles in the last 2 years on clay, but it's been all like the secondary stuff, like the Kitzbühels and the Gestads and the Genevas and actually, let me pull it up. I think he's won. You're gonna laugh at these titles, honestly. Like it's like all of like the trash titles.
Oh, good! You won Umag.
Yeah. Actually, I don't even know if he did win Umag. I don't. He definitely has played Umag.
I would assume he'd play it. It's close.
You remember? You want to do a quick recap on Casper Ruud's career? Because again, another great parallel with the tennis chat. Like. We were around when he busted onto the scene in Rio.
Felt like that was years ago. Holy Ghost.
Years ago. Yeah, the Holy Ghost. Busted on the scene in Rio. Didn't even know who he was.
No,
he was a huge dog and was just
somebody remembered his dad.
Brazilians. Yeah, like is that yeah, that's right. Is that Christian Ruud's kid? What? Same name, Norwegian. It's got to be, right? But he has 8 career titles. Let me see here.
All on grass.
Oh, he is still looking for his first. Oh no, excuse me. He has a hardcore title.
Yes.
San Diego Open. How about that?
The SD Open, baby.
Did you know that?
No, God, no.
I didn't know
That's surprising as fuck.
He made it to
an ITF or is that Challenger?
It was last October. It was before they played Indian Wells. They must have done a one-off.
I don't remember
match in
the
San Diego
because
they used to in the fall they did like a bunch of a bunch of Asian swing, and that all got canceled because COVID. They must have just created the San Diego Open as like a one-off event to warm players up for the Indian Wells that they played in the fall. Whatever the case was, he won that
$600,000 purse.
He beat Scam Norrie 6-0-6-2.
It was a 250.
Here are his other titles: Buenos Aires, clay.
Sure.
Geneva, clay. Bastad, clay. Gustad, clay. Kitzbühel, clay. Buenos Aires again.
A lot of
Geneva
mountains,
again.
By the way.
What's that?
Strictly in the Andes and the Alps, apparently.
Yeah, also, that's a good point.
A lot of Switzerland, Austria there.
It's a good point. But, he made a deep run in Madrid, which again, interestingly enough, is not this year, but last year made a deep run in Madrid, which is also at elevation. He made a deep run in Miami this year, lost to Carlos Alcaraz in a competitive final.
Not at elevation.
Not at elevation.
But
slow hard. Anyway, just goes to say all of his successes come at the 250 level and on clay.
Well, let's
effectively.
We'll wrap up the men by. Are you betting on this match? Because now that I'm looking at it, the price.
This is dog or pass.
The price seems pretty fair.
Yeah, this is dog or pass at this point. Once it becomes widely available and it's in the
if this total
in the plus ones minus 200 plus 170.
What's total are you seeing? 39-ish? I don't have it up in the book I'm looking at.
It ought to be in that 39 range. It might be lower.
Is there a total up or you just have money lines?
39
Sign collectibles. What do we got? 39.5.
39.
Fair. Those numbers are fair. Like I'm probably staying away from all that.
Yeah, I don't know that I'm going to bet that much.
Okay.
If I bet it, what am I going to play? First set over maybe. Okay, so Ruud's serve was pretty clinical. Honestly, he's had a shit ton of aces today. He had a lot of first serves in. You know who else's serve was clinical today? Marin Cilic. 33 aces, unreturnable, a lot of them. And I would say
Rude had 13 aces.
yeah, he was very, very good on
It's
serve.
wild
So
for him.
maybe like a first set over. Maybe you're gonna get a 10.5 ish.
First set tie
First
break.
set tie break, yes.
Ooh.
That seems reasonable. Right now, the first set is you can get over 10.5 at plus 172. Tie break, yes, plus 300 right now. I think that's the bet. I think that's what we're going. I'm going to bet a first set Zverev money line plus 170 and a first set tie break, yes, plus 300, and then call it a.
Where are these up right now? I got to pull up a different book.
1x bet.
No, I don't. I need to live in India for that. All right, on to the women. One of the matches doesn't really count. It's just it's not.
What do you think?
She's still a skill play.
Let's talk about Iga real quick.
And the total is 18 and a half.
Give me a little.
If you had to bet it, 18
give me
and
a little
over under.
Under for sure. Absolutely under.
It's under or pass.
Under or pass for sure. You give me a little color of Noops's Iga, like what his angle is, because I got to tell you, she is on another level, number one, and the field is on another level, low, number two.
Yeah,
not just who's remaining, but really the entire field.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is that just when you have someone like this, it creates some value.
Yeah,
because despite how good she is, like why is a player rated highly? Why would a tennis player be rated highly? Because they possess skills at their sport higher than those of their opponents.
Yes.
So correct. That is something that's going to be hard for them to lose in a short time span, like a 2-week period. That's, within their control. That's going to be almost constant. Players' skill level or their performance will go up and down a little, but something completely out of their, is a slip and fall on sliding on the clay. Like that's where, when you have one of these massive favorites, it's almost certainly a little overpriced. You're paying a premium. And when that happens, it does create a little value on some other people in the draw, especially, again, it's not, if she had to win 3 matches, make her minus 500, whatever. That's probably a fair price.
Sure.
But if she, winning this many matches, staying healthy, not picking up a knock or two here, not picking up, your worst match of the 7 happens to be against Zhang's best, which probably actually happened.
Yeah.
And she still came back and won. Zhang
pulled her hammy. We'll talk on that match and Zhang in just a minute.
Zhang did get hurt, but it's the little things like that. There's a long tail to things out of it. You hit a ball at a linesman.
I was just gonna bring.
I know. I was gonna say other shit can happen. You get defaulted.
Dominic Thiem is a slam champion because Novak Djokovic hit a ball into
lost generation. So either way, just in closing, like I get it, but boy, I would rather just see her win based on my futures.
Oh, without question. Dude.
Plus 150 the week before someone had.
If something happens to Iga, I mean, find me in a ditch. Me in a ditch, man. It is not going to be good. But no, there are a couple things. Obviously, she's that much better than the field. Yes, your point is 100% fair. External events, black swan shit, like does exist, and you're basically counting on that not happening. You're banking on no black swan, which is fine. The general thought, I guess, about Iga's arc at this French Open, it felt like she peaked in Rome. I mean, clearly, she was playing her best tennis, and it elicited a very real memory of her first Roland Garros title. She was absolutely untouchable in that fall 2020 slam. You go look at those scores.
Yeah.
You go look at those dominance ratios. She was untouchable.
When you were saying she peaked in Rome, were you saying you're worried about coming down off that peak, or are you saying similar to that? It's just going to be a walkthrough.
No,
Paris.
I'm saying just she had an amazing spring. She won 2 Masters or whatever they're called. What do they call them? The Premier?
Lady Masters.
Lady Masters. She won 2 Lady Masters. She won 2 Lady Masters in the spring. She won the Golden Swing. Is that what they call it still? The Golden Swing?
I think so.
Anyway, she won Indian Wells in Miami and then carried that form into clay season and was unbelievable on clay. And I thought got better from day 1 to her Rome title. And she's riding like a 40-match win streak at this point. But it felt like she was carrying more pressure at this French Open than what we saw last time when she won the French Open without, because she was totally new on the scene. No one knew that was coming except for a handful of people, right? And so the pressure looked to be real, and she ran into some opponents who played her hard. Like people brought their A game; they didn't wilt, right? Like one of two things.
Was that Krejcikova
against
here?
Which year?
When was the Krejcikova peak?
That was last
where she
1 year
just
ago.
did the
1 year ago.
Yeah, where she did the Medvedev thing. Where remember that year with Medvedev? It's like he's gonna get tired eventually. It's like fuck, this guy never gets tired. It's like that. That's what we saw from Krejcikova. It's like shit. She just keeps doing it. So
yeah, no, it was. She came into this tournament. She got a challenging draw, and her opponents, rather than basically being like, "Well, I can't beat her. I give up," they came after her and played very, very well. Kovinic did it, and Zhang. We mentioned Zhang had a breakout tournament. She has been the second best. I'll put her third now after what we've seen from Coco Gauff. Zhang was was playing top 5 level tennis on clay at this tournament, which was totally unforeseen. She's only ever won futures 60K shit, never broken through at any kind of a professional level other than that. And you could not deny the fact that her wins were bona fide, awesome, excellent wins. She buried an out of form. Simona Halep buried her. And she has a game that's very, 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 very similar to Iga's in terms of the type of tennis she wants to play.
Going back to your pressure comment, though, were you worried about the pressure on just everyone assumes you're gonna go Nadal on this? Because I feel like I wonder if that's an overrated angle. Because I don't know, I've said it too about things, but we thought that a little about Barty. It's like, man, is there a lot of pressure on her to win her home tournament? Because we had to go look. Some woman I've never heard of won it in 72, and that was the last Australian winner on the women's side down there. So I mean, they're that pressure thing. I don't know if that's a thing that's really. I'm sure it exists, but man, the people who play sports at the highest level are wired so differently. I don't know. I just stuff like that just doesn't seem to get to them. And outside of the Zhang match, it doesn't seem like much has got to her at all.
Yeah, couple corrections. Thank you to Science Collectibles. Does he call it the Sunshine Double?
I was just gonna let you run with
the Sunshine Double. What was I saying? The Golden Swing?
Yeah, the Golden Swing is the South American play. Yeah.
And then Zhang was down a set and a break to Halep, but she was basically still figuring out her game, like how to beat her. And as soon as it clicked, it was over. In my opinion, I thought the quality of tennis down the stretch from her was pretty outstanding. Anyway, she overcame Zhang. She lost a set. Thanks for nothing, Iga. I think I had 6-1 on her to win without dropping a set that I was pretty excited about. But that's okay. Just take care of business here. And honestly, you mentioned it. The under is the only angle you can play against Kasatkina. Congratulations, by the way, to Dasha.
Nice
very
run.
Cool. Very cool.
Cooter.
Very cool.
She was favored over Kudermetova.
Yeah,
right?
she was. But what was her price to win Q2?
One.
Her price to win Q2 must have been 18, 20.
I was going to say 25. I didn't think she was.
It was a big.
She was like sixth favorite or something.
She was down the board for sure, and she gets through. She's playing really good tennis this year. You know what though? It's not going to be good enough to win many matches. Yeah. I mean, win many games against Iga, at least unless Iga, bottles a bit.
16-1 says Collectibles.
Yeah,
we need to almost DM this guy before we do tennis just to make sure he's in the chat to help us out.
16-1 sounds about right. Anyway, it was impressive run from Dasha. Congratulations. Dasha she has one win head to head. Did you know that over Iga? She is not undefeated. She has beaten her once.
I'm guessing it was a while ago.
It was not actually. It was 2021, but it was on.
I know, but that's a long time ago in the career arc.
It was a weird one on grass in Eastbourne. She beat her in 3 sets, I think.
The Boodles.
Yeah, but you know what? We have more to go on, including 3 matches this year, all on hard court, granted, which is Dasha's worst surface. Yes. But I say worst surface. It's not as strong a surface for her as clay. But the 3 matches were all very, very convincingly Iga. It was very you want to guess what it is about Dasha that makes it tough for her to win against a player like Iga? She can't serve.
I mean, I was going to say, like, I didn't want to just go with that because that feels very. I mean, well, it just feels.
It's reductive. Yeah, it's reductive. Yeah.
Well, no, it's. I mean, less. I mean, it is reductive, but also it feels like stereotyping because I could say that about like half the women.
Sure.
Like,
sure.
It just feels like
her actual point construction, and once she gets into rallies, like the gap between where she's like 95th percentile there, but her serve is like 16th percentile, and so I have a very tough time seeing how she will hold serve in this match, in this moment. And I think Iga, on the other hand, not only will have no problem holding serve, but will break quite often. This is, I mean, congratulations getting here, Dasha, but 4 games seems like a win in my mind.
Oh, yeah. I mean, what did we get out of? We got 5 today.
5 out of Pagula, and that actually felt like a more competitive match than it was.
That first set was a little bit competitive to start, and then it just kind of got away from her. Coco in the other one, I've already bet the over because that's what we do. We take Coco
overs. Although it hasn't been super profitable this tournament. She has yet to have a 3-setter.
Yeah,
she has yet to have a 3-setter.
Today I never want to say we're due, but this feels like a good spot.
You've been martingaling Coco overs?
No, I haven't bet one yet. Noops put me on it, so I'm on it.
Okay, so he thinks Trevisan can go take a set, maybe.
I think we see just some longer sets.
Longer sets, okay.
Coco is playing well, but it's still. It almost feels Alcaraz-ish, where it's still a pretty big spot for a pretty young person. Trevisan is, not on her level right now, but it's still the WTA, baby. Like she's probably a little too juicy of a favorite here for. I don't know. It feels like every favorite's too big in the WTA.
It felt like
one. Except one.
Except one, yeah. It felt like Trevisan was pretty lucky to get by Fernandez, I thought. I mean, she won the first set 6-2. She won the third set 6-3. She covered easily, but yeah. I think Coco wins in straights. I think she's punching her ticket to the final. Maybe she gets.
I think she wins. Yeah. Yes.
What was the total you bet?
20.5.
So you need like 7-5, 6-3.
I just needed a 10, a 6-5, or a 6-4, and then an 11-game set.
You can only get to 21. You can only get to 21, 7-5, 6-3 if you're doing math at home. Actually, I think 7-6, 6-2 gets there too, right? No, it does.
Yeah, that does. You go tie break and tie break, double break.
Yeah, tie break, double break.
I feel like close first set. You go tie break, and then it probably goes 6-1, and I'm mad. But all right, so yeah, I think again we could talk about the final, but
yeah,
more of the same. So we'll get to that when we get to that. And should we talk some NBA? You were talking NBA in the timeline today. And it was interesting. Well,
we were talking
538. Well, and because Computer Cowboy there, he had a good point. He's like, why would anyone post stuff that's this far off market? And I loved your response down the line because he said, is it just engagement farming? And you said if it was engagement farming, they would just make the Warriors like
they were back. They did it backwards.
Yeah,
they did it backwards.
Like,
just switch the numbers.
Yeah, it's like how we joke around. Some fan bases are worse on Twitter.
Yeah,
like you you make it so the Warriors are like 95% to win,
Yeah.
and everybody in Boston who, is, the top half of Boston that
they don't
understands
know
how to
one
use
believes
a
in us.
computer, they would just get mad. And I mean, and it is a bigger fan base. Like, I'm sure if that's what you do, you piss off the bigger fan base and just let them hammer on their keyboards.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
yeah, that's how you'd get. So what do you actually think? And you did have another good point. You said best case, it wasn't best case, I'm paraphrasing. You said like something along the lines, at a minimum, it's letting people start to think about betting as a percentage. That's something we've hammered on for years. And that was a big step in both of our betting, how we think about it is, rather than, it's minus 110, starting to look at things as it's 52.3, at minus 300, starting to look at things as a perceived or implied percentage.
Sure.
So, I mean, I guess that's
step one in thinking probabilistically, which is an important aspect of succeeding in this.
Maybe a little bit of positive out of a massive negative, but I don't know. Like, Nate Silver's a smart guy. It's a smart company. They do a lot of good stuff, but then every year they put out these NBA percentages that are just wildly. And you brought up the one that my mind went to right away again too. It's like the Warriors. Yeah, the Warriors were like massive favorites, and they put it out. Here's what we think: Warriors were like 3% or 5% or something hilarious. It's like, well, that isn't right. Like, you're wrong.
Yeah. So
it'd be one thing if they were like incredibly right about that, and then continued to be like predicting upsets, but they've been just incredibly fucking wrong.
Yeah, right. But they could be right this year, and then there'll be a healthy dose of confirmation bias, right? They're probably already feeling it. I think anyone that has like an aggressive number on the Celtics is probably feeling a healthy dose of confirmation bias right about now, myself included. Like, I've definitely kind of talked myself, yep, they're exactly as good as I thought they were when I was looking at their regular season numbers. Like I could be the next person stepping into this trap pretty clearly. I've bet a lot of Celtics to the finals. So let's talk about the modeling part of it first, and I'll give you my 2 cents there. What they're doing is like, it falls into the extreme black box category. They are applying zero context to anything that they have in their database that they're using to inform the numbers, which is why in a season where LeBron is not playing defense in the regular season, they can say the Cavaliers have an 11% chance to win the East when they're market favorites, right? Like, the market knows when we get to the playoffs, you're going to get a different level of performance out of the stars. It always happens. The rotations change. Like, you're going to shorten the rotations, and LeBron's going to play defense. You can't take a regular season LeBron all-in-one stat, no matter how good it is, and apply it blindly to make some sort of a postseason prediction on a series or a team strength. You just can't do it. And the example that we were joking about with the Warriors when they were massive favorites to win the title, and 538 gave them a 5% chance.
Yeah, what was their odds I'm going to say pre-tournament, an NBA playoff tournament? Like
-1.
Yeah, they were like minus 105. I feel like I bet them that year.
At the All-Star break, they were like -400. It was absurd. That was the Durant Curry
that's
game.
Silly. Yeah.
That was the actually no. I can,
because I remember betting them
exactly
that. I remember betting them that year when the NBA started.
I wrote all this shit down.
I'm like, am I going to bet a team that's like minus money before the tournament started?
Oh, because people had done it a couple of years in a row. It was a great way to put your Bitcoin to work for you. Just hold on to this.
It's kind of like my Avalanche Western Conference futures. Like, it's not a great price, but
why not? No, the Warriors were, I was a little exaggerating there. They were -207 at the beginning of February.
Still, that's months before the season's over.
Yes. Yeah. Kevin Durant and Steph Curry were on the super team. Like, nobody was beating that team. Like, that was the reality we lived in. And down the stretch, what happened, I think Curry and Durant both missed a ton of March and almost all of April, right? Like, they literally punted on getting the 1 seed. They gave it to the Rockets. And they, like, if you were using game or box score data to inform any price on the Warriors using the last 15 games of that regular season,
Yeah,
you were
you'd be
like, this
"Oh,
is
they're
a lottery.
bad."
This is a lottery team, right? They're like, oh yeah, this is like a lottery team. They don't have a chance.
Yeah, this is the Hawks.
Yeah, you apply a tiny bit of common sense to your black box, and you're like, well, maybe we should use peak Durant rating and a peak Curry rating and a playoff rating for some of these players, and we're going to get a different answer.
So what's the holdup here? And has it been something similar where it's like, honestly, for both, that's what confused me, because I'm with you. I realized like that's what that problem was.
Yeah.
But with this year, it feels like they should be further down on the Celtics based on just most of the regular season. But at the same time, like I guess the Warriors too. The Warriors were
so they do a time decay.
Yeah.
So they're upweighting the end of the season. Number one.
Sure.
And I don't know if you.
So that makes sense then. Yeah.
I don't know how closely you were following the end of the NBA season.
Not really.
The Celtics were putting up like 96 Bulls numbers, right? And so if you're a computer black box algorithm that's just looking at those results and you're like, we got the 96 Bulls, right? Like that's basically what their computer has going into this playoff run for the Celtics. And for those reasons, they're coming up with just obscene prices.
The worm.
Yeah. Like,
have you tried this one yet?
No, I haven't. It looks good.
Caffeinated.
Nice. And so the funniest part about this is that like it has taken the market a really long time to believe what they are seeing with the Celtics.
Sure.
There's been a huge amount of hesitancy to buy in on this team for lots of reasons. Like the roster, like
just
so because
starting with the coaching change, then the first half of the season, you had some injuries.
Sure.
Throughout the middle, like I get it.
Bunch of COVID early in the season too.
Yeah.
But down the stretch, actually, let me find out when
and just
middle of January on Martin Luther King Day on. This team was unbelievably good in the regular season.
Go playoffs. Like I don't know how you would do some sort of power ranking on this. I think you can do it without numbers. I think you just use your fucking eyes and your brain. But like they've had the harder path.
The Celtics?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like by a lot. Like that's where I wanted you to quantify it. Be like, they've had this much more of a harder path.
Oh yeah. So when we were talking about futures at the beginning of the NBA playoffs, one of the most salient points was how in the world can the Heat be 5-1 to win the East when they basically have a bye and a quasi bye to get to the Eastern Conference Finals? And whoever comes out of the other half, be it Nets, Bucks, Celtics, is going to have to move heaven and earth to get there, right? Like that's just the math didn't make sense.
Yeah.
Right. And that meant that the math also didn't make sense on the Celtics price or the Nets price or the Bucks price for that matter. Because in order to get there, they were going to have to do it themselves and beat the hard teams at every step of the way. Right. And so it was a as clear as you will ever see distinction where you pick Celtics or Nets in that first round one series, whoever you thought was going to ultimately then go on and win the Eastern Conference Finals, bet and roll over the series prices. You are going to far outpay whatever the futures price was at that time. Right. And that has absolutely held true. You didn't even have to high point the price in series. You could have just blind pre-bet the series. Celtics lost game one and of both round two and the Eastern Conference Finals. So you could have gotten even better prices. But you just blind roll, bet and bet rollover.
Shit.
Yeah.
After game three, like there was a game three where you could have got a really good Celtics price.
Oh yeah.
But I ended up
after
with the
game
Celtics. 5
of the Bucks series, the Celtics were plus 250 or something.
I was gonna say I had a minus 110 for the Heat series, and I think it was after game 1.
There you go. That was the plan.
And it was
they were drawing dead in game 1 and it bet them. Yeah. Okay. So there was
Yeah, it wasn't my
zero.
plan.
It made zero.
Plans of other men.
It made 0.0 sense to bet into Celtics futures at the beginning of the playoffs because number one, you already missed the best of the price by a mile. Like there were 25, 50 to ones for conference and title in season that you missed. But even then you could get 15, 20 to 1-ish if you roll over these 4 series, which is what I think the ultimate payout would be if you bet pre-series into all 4 of these series. So the question is, I guess, there has been a consistent lag of the market believing that the Celtics are as good as their numbers say they are, which I think is fair, frankly. Like this isn't the 96 Bulls, ultimately. They're a team that is playing really, really, really well. And they have a bunch of young players that have all taken really significant steps forward, especially late in this season, notably Jason Tatum. Like Tatum is like every all-in-one stat you can look at. Tatum is basically at or above Kevin Durant level right now, which is not something that people would have expected before this, before the playoffs started or even close. Right. And if you have a player of that quality, and you have a bunch of other really good young players around him and you're well coached and you have a flexible roster and good bench, like the Celtics check every box. They're a very, very good team. And I think realistically, the result of the Nets series was maybe a little misleading to the good. Like they're not going to beat the Nets 4-0 every single time you run that sim. They're going to beat them 4-1, 4-2 sometimes. They're not, that was a little bit of a, maybe people got a little over their skis. I thought that the result of the Bucks was exactly fair. Of course, Middleton wasn't involved in that series, but I think you run that 1,000 times, the Celtics probably win 60% of them. And then the result of the Heat series, I thought was a little underwhelming, right? Like they were better than beating the Heat in 7.
When you say over your skis, because you say that a lot, is it because you tip? Is it because you tip forward?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You're too far over your skis. Like you've taken yourself out of balance.
Don't have a lot of ski resorts in Minnesota. I mean, we do, but they're horrible, and you can barely fall down. It's like
you're a little too eager, a little too excited, a little too. You're overreacting to the good.
Not that I haven't crashed on skis,
but the important part is the last series against the Heat.
Yeah, go back to that. You said you were even though they won
in 7, the fact that it took 7 and the fact that they had some stinkers in that series, I think cooled people from the perception standpoint. The fact that it took to the very end of Game 7, even right, like it was not as convincing, but. I will also point out
you wanted good NBA games.
They also had COVID. A lot of those players for a lot of that series. So I would take a lot of that Eastern Conference Finals with a grain of salt. And in fact, I think both teams probably have COVID. I think like the kind of the up and down kind of weird nature of that series, the bad basketball kind of nature of that series could be explained a lot by illness. It's certainly a lot by health as well. Like the Heat were completely injured. I don't even know how the Heat got to 7, to be honest with you, considering the state of some of those players. This Game 6 Jimmy Butler performance was pretty unbelievable. But Celtics ultimately, I think, are as good or close to as good as their numbers say. They're just not. You just can't time decay, wait the end of the season performance from them and make them the 96 Bulls. They're not that good. The Warriors, the perception of the market, Warriors in the market is the opposite, in my opinion. I think the market's way, way, way too high on this team. Their path through the playoffs was incredibly favorable. They got a completely depleted Nuggets team with Jokic on his, on fumes. Well, they didn't even really beat them as convincingly as they ought to have, in my opinion. That should have been a sweep. They got a Memphis Grizzlies team that was figuring itself out as a young team and then lost its best player. And then they got a Dallas Mavericks team that was happy to be there. And I did
And
realistically
their best player
like,
was out drinking.
yeah, their best guy. Well, I don't know about that, but he certainly was not focused on that series. Anyway, it was pretty obvious that like the path to get to this point it is either battle tested the Celtics and hardened them for NBA Finals, or it has exhausted them. And I don't really know the answer to that question.
Yeah, how many games do you think this Warriors team wins against the Timberwolves? 2, 3? They were lucky.
They would have smashed the Wolves.
Yeah, I think so.
They have the small ball lineup for the Warriors would have utterly eviscerated the Wolves.
And that was the funny thing about and again, going back to games that happened a month ago, whenever Memphis went small, it was like, hey, remember when the Timberwolves were up by 15 points like 4 seconds ago? And then they'd bring a small lineup out and it would just work. I never understood why they didn't just do that constantly, but I don't think they had the depth to be running that out there for 30
minutes. Who has a team that can absorb a small lineup? The death lineup?
The Celtics.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just overall thesis is you don't know. You're sitting on some Celtics futures.
Yeah.
But you think it's going to be a good series.
I think it's going to be a Celtics in 5.
Oh, really? I'm on Dubs in 6.
Ooh.
I don't have any empirical evidence.
You just want something fun. Yeah.
I just want a good. I'd be happy with anyone in 7.
Okay. Well, so I have not consumed a ton of sports media, so I
was just going to joke about making that bet. I was going to joke, can I just bet anyone? Yeah, that is a bet. Like, I can just bet anyone in 7. Let's find some overs.
Oh, yeah. Over 6.5 is a big price.
Yeah, I would have just bet
it's like plus 240. It's a big number.
Yeah.
Over 6.5 is a big number.
Series props.
So, a couple of reasons I like the Celtics beyond just the fact that, well, actually, let's talk about this. Wilkman, great question.
Wilkman.
So, right now, the Celtics are 3.5-point dogs to the Warriors.
You got to read the question for the podcast.
If Warriors win game 1, I was setting it up. They're 3.5-point dogs in game 1, which means most likely outcome is the Warriors win game 1. If the Warriors win game 1, what is the series price in the Celtics? I would wager real dollars that a win versus a loss for the Celtics in this game 1 is imbalanced in terms of series price adjustment win probability added.
It's like a 40-cent difference.
I think that Celtics go plus 130 to about plus 180 on the downside. And I think they swing from plus 130 to at least minus 150 on the good. Right? So maybe you lose 50 cents on the series price. If they lose, you gain 80 cents to $1 if they win. That's my general feel. You think it could be more? If the Celtics are up 1-0, do you think they're higher than minus 170?
No, that's fair. That's fair. I get what you're saying, and some of it market perception, some of it just where the game is and what that holds for home court for the rest of it. So you're saying, and again, to answer the actual question, you're saying plus 180, plus 190 tops.
Yeah.
That was initially what I was going to say, because I was kind of having the same thought as you. I just didn't have an eloquent way to say it. I was going to say, I bet it don't get to $2. Like because there are plenty of series where you have this price range on a series and game 1 goes to the home team and it's plus 210. Sure. Like that, or worse. It
it's like, if the Warriors win by 10, like they have been at home for whatever reason, if they come out, if it's a competitive game for a half and the Warriors come out and they do their third quarter thing where they nuke people and everybody's onto that surprise, and they're like, whoa, this is how it's going to go. Maybe it gets to 2 plus 210, 220, could be, but it's going to take a really impressive game 1 from the Warriors to do that. And I'll be honest, like I cannot find, Andy redeemed himself in the coconut water incident. What was the comment?
I guess people don't like electrolytes. No, a couple people said they like the bubbly.
Oh yeah, the Buble. But yeah, I don't see a matchup that I check in favor of the Warriors for this series. I can't see it. Have you heard or read any media or talked to any smart people that are like, well, the Warriors have this? That's a hit the Celtics right in their Achilles heel.
Follow up. So Golden State wins game 1, and the Celtics win the series plus 400. So let's just say you get a plus 180. Let's say plus 180. And what is the Warriors money line right now? About minus
130.
40? I thought it was a little higher. You know what? I'm actually going to pull this up because I want to get this right. So we have a game tomorrow, and we have a money line price of it's minus 160. You know what? I'm going to use Bookmaker. Minus
I make
160.
It. See, like I'm skewed on this. I'm crazy skewed on
well,
this.
Let's go in between years in the market then. What's a good center point between 160 and years?
Minus 140.
Okay, well, minus 140 is like 1.714 times 2.8. It comes out to about 3 plus 380. Yeah. So I mean Wilkman, that price is probably fair. He's saying that Warriors win game 1, Celtics win the series. He's getting a 4-1 prop price on that. Probably getting a little value compared to the parlay, but it's and also there's you can do a rollover. I guess you just bet Warriors money line and then roll it over onto a Celtics series price if you don't have that sort of prop. But I don't think you fight to 400. It'll be close.
Yeah.
And then we talked about MVP a little this morning on Brown Bag too. It's been a minute since games. It feels like every year it's like, all right, if this team wins, this guy's the MVP. But man, there's a lot of just here's the two guys, I guess, and there's some cases to be made for some long shots. But boy, it feels like 90% of the time it's just the two guys that win MVP, and there's a groundswell for Curry have never won one, and who knows how long this Warriors dynasty. I know how long this Warriors dynasty is going to last, and it's not much fucking longer. So I think if he does win, the voters are just going to have to give it to him. Like, and I said that to Noops too. I said, there's cases for some of these other Warriors, but like in some of those cases, Curry has to play kind of bad. Not only does this other guy in the Warriors have to really step up, Curry can't be great. He can't be great. And if Curry doesn't play great, like they're not giving that team an MVP because they lost 4 games. It's a catch-22 if you want some of these long shots on the Warriors. I don't know. Maybe you disagree with that. I don't
at all. And
I think the long shots are maybe on the Celtics.
Yeah, I especially don't disagree on the Warriors because I personally think Klay Thompson is a non-factor in this series, offensively especially. The Celtics they're so fucking good at perimeter defense and making you take a tough shot, and Klay is just not making his contested threes. I think that is going to be a very, 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 very tough ask for him to contribute offensively.
Klay could absolutely have a great game. 6 for 8 from downtown, 32 points. But like the odds of what I've seen of him, the odds of him having like 3 of those is kind of what you need to make that happen. It just him. I mean, there's a few other guys that it just doesn't feel like it's a thing. Like again, if the Warriors win the series, Steph Curry has to play good in almost all the games. And if that happens, he's just going to get the MVP. So it's tougher to make the case, but I think there are like 2 or 3 Celtics you can make a case for, especially if the game plan turns to let's put some of this defense we have, take Tatum out of the equation, and then you have like 3 guys on the Celtics that could step up. It's just that's a hard equation. I don't know if you had thoughts on that.
I agree with that 100%. I think Tatum is rightfully the favorite, but there are a lot of ways that you look back and you think, how did I not make more money on this series if you're betting into the MVP market? Yeah.
I mean, they could do whatever they want. He might just transcend that and outplay that defense and still win the MVP if the Celtics win. But yeah, Brown, Smart, and maybe a couple others. Like there's for sure cases to be made. I don't know if did you have a favorite? I don't know if you've talked about it on other shows yet, or if you had some MVP thoughts for any of those three guys.
Well, I think it's probably a 2-man race realistically. I mean, Smart could get an
Yeah.
I mean, it could, but I think realistically, I am personally excited to see if the Celtics have a couple adjustments up their sleeve where they put a bigger boy on Steph. They put a bigger body on him. I would be fascinated to see if Tatum can defend him 1v1.
I don't know if he's quick enough.
Tatum?
He's quick, but man, that's tiring.
He's
chasing a little guy around.
He's instinctual as shit, though, in terms of knowing where guys. He did an amazing job defending Durant in that Nets series.
Durant's bigger than Curry, right?
He's bigger, but it's that should make it that much tougher.
I know. Durant's a healthy Durant might be the best player in the league. Like,
yeah. So no, I think I mean realistically, I don't think Smart is worth a shot. I think it's either Tatum or Jaylen Brown if Brown ends up going nuclear offensively, which is possible because he's got a better matchup. So,
what was the one, Dan? What was the one that Noobs found? Was it Horford?
Playoff PP?
Was it Horford at like 120 or something?
That's not crazy either.
See, I think there was one. Yeah, it's funny. This happened like 8 hours ago, and my brain can't even remember it. But he had one this morning. He's just like, "Hey, like I get it." He said all the same things we just said. He's like, "But FanDuel has Horford at 120-1," and he's like, "That's just a bad number. Like you should probably bet that if you can." So
yeah,
nobody who has had a game in the playoffs that we've referred to as the Your Name Here game should be over 100-1.
Yeah. So here's the other funny thing. People point to Draymond Green and what he does defensively as like the master, like the secret code for the Warriors, right? It is neutralized exactly by Horford in this one. Like the Horford Draymond Green, that is a draw in my opinion, in terms of what those two players do on the court and their roles and responsibilities. I don't think Draymond Green has much of a role in this series defensively. I don't think we're going to see a ton of Kevon Looney or Robert Williams in this one. I think this is going to be a small ball series generally. Robert Williams obviously is hurt, but I don't know that they really need him a ton. And I think Kevon Looney is going to get played off the floor in general. So it's going to be a good series. I think the Celtics win in 5. That's my official stance. I got that at 9-1. I got some Celtics -1.5 games in case they take it to 6. And I'm going to bet the Celtics pretty heavily in both games 1 and games 2, assuming that they're equal dogs in game 2. I mean, the best case scenario, Celtics eke out a lucky game 1. And then game 2, the Warriors are even more of a favorite because people are like, well, they got to dig it. They can't go down 0-2, right? Like that would be the best case scenario if there was like, which is kind of what happened in the Nets series, honestly.
This does happen at prices. Like when the home team needs a win, the price is weird. The NBA price markets can get really goofy when it's like, well, this is where the team, because, and we've made this joke on how many other, it's not a joke even. We've made this comment on how many other podcasts where we've talked to NBA. It's like, there are just games where it's like, you got to play defense today. And I get it. It's the playoffs. They're playing defense every night, but it's like, then it becomes, you really got to
we got to play 4 quarters of defense.
Not only that, but we're not putting you're playing 10 extra minutes and the rotations are all going to be defensive based, it's just so I'm excited. I hope it's a good series, whatever. I don't give a shit. Hopefully you win.
Yeah.
I don't care who wins. I know you do. You put money on it. Skin back to the 538 thing. That's why they don't give a shit. They don't have skin in the game.
That's
right.
Nobody
remembers like you can tease them about it. Well, that doesn't hurt. Nate Silver's not watching right now. It's just Lipscomb and Wilkman. That we're not going to hurt Nate Silver's feelings. So he doesn't care.
And by the way, there will continue to be terrible, terrible projections by black boxes across every sport, increasingly so probably over the next handful of years. And eventually they're just going to figure out we have a cheat code. We can just convert the VIG free odds and tell you that's the percentage, right? Like they'll figure that out eventually, right? And, we got the answer key. The answer key is out there, guys. It's not that fucking hard. You don't need, some quant cranking out numbers to put on the NFL broadcast about the current win probability. You could just, go look at Deck Prism stuff. There, got it for you.
Go pay for the API.
Pay for the API.
For Pinnacle,
Pinnacle. That there's one way to get it. But the we joked about black box stupid, garbage in, garbage out kind of modeling in the past, but like they thankfully put this, I think they must have put it out of its misery. But IBM used to have a project where they were producing win probabilities for tennis matches that were mind-blowingly stupid.
Horrid.
Like impossibly bad. Like, how could this be this bad kind of stuff? And, thankfully that has been taken out behind the barn and chat. But
yeah, that's only the second worst thing IBM has ever done in their history. I don't even know why I led into that. Top Gun, huh?
Yeah, what'd you think?
Fuck, it was good. It was so predictable. Like everything was predictable, and it was still great.
Yeah.
The music, the Harold Faltermeyer, the opening theme.
Yeah.
Well, not even the Danger Zone.
Not Kenny Loggins.
The bell.
Oh yeah.
The dong and then do 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 do.
Yep.
Like it opens with that. Spoiler alert. And you just get a cold shiver. Like fuck yeah, we're going full Top Gun. But yeah, there's like 15 callbacks and homages, and they're all perfect. And it was probably like somebody was mad. It's like, how is this better than the first one? I don't know, because it's 2022. And they have better, we have better filming and, cameras and shit. They tried to make this in the 80s, RIP Tony Scott. Like, they did what they could. And, the original was still very good. So, whatever. I really liked it. And I'm pissed that I missed some things while I was in the movies. But it's never good when there's, your Twitter's just lit up when you come out. Like, oh, there's a lot of messages. There's messages on Slack. And then just all kinds of shit going on. So, go see it is what I would say. I give it 4 fighter pilots up, 4 fighter jets up. And it's weird having a sequel made 30 years later, though.
Yeah.
But whatever. And it's crazy.
Tom Cruise is aged how many years?
Still looks
2,
really good.
3, 5.
And then Miles Teller just apparently giving him a shitty mustache and those sunglasses, it's like, oh my God, that's all it took to make him look exactly like Anthony Edwards. Not the Timberwolves, different guy. But no, I'm gonna play some. It's a different. They have the same name, Drew.
They have the same name.
I'm gonna go play. I might go play some volleyball this weekend. What did you? I know you're coming back from Hawaii, but to close, did you cook anything cool for Memorial Day?
No.
You were
hanging
beat.
out.
Just, just jet lagged.
Yep, just recovering.
Yeah, I'm full farm to table now. Honestly, nothing was better than just cutting asparagus right out of the goddamn garden.
Oh, very
throw
cool,
it on
man.
the grill. So
well played.
One with the land, guys.
I love it, man. Man, look at the
it's like a
Rangers
cycle.
taking a 2-1 lead.
Oh, really?
Fucking crazy, man.
I don't know. The second period started.
Lightning.
Evergreen content.
Lightning not doing their damn jobs. What the hell?
Yeah, I thought they had a good goalie.
Yeah,
never gonna hear the end of it from that Albert character. So, all right. Well, if you're interested in the NBA or tennis, give us a follow here on Twitter, or rate and review the podcast, or do. I feel like I should ask you guys to do something. I never do. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Give it a thumbs up.
Yes.
Tweet Ted Drew and say something nice about his hair. Tweet at me and say something nice about my asparagus. otherwise, just have a cool day. Good luck. And Drew, you got anything else? Or are we good to close?
No, that's great, man. Let's
call it a day.
Think the Lightning going to come back stronger than ever?
It's a good team, but again, it's in New York, right?
Yeah.
The series hasn't started.